Welcome chess players to the long awaited video about the theory for the BongCloud. Now I have intensely studied the games of BongCloud experts Magnus and Hikaru, and by that I mean I watched some of their videos and winged the rest. Give me a break, that's the best I could do. Now let me tell you a little bit about the BongCloud. The opening's name is thought to originate either from the chess.com user Lenny BongCloud, who uses the opening to little success, or to more generally be a reference to a bong, a device used for consuming cannabis. The opening garnered a cult reputation amidst the rise of internet chess. And no, I didn't copy that whole thing off of Wikipedia. Stop accusing me of everything, man. A lot of people say that the BongCloud was how chess was intended to be played. Gary Chess, the creator of chess, has recently said in one of his interviews that ever since he created the game in 1975, the BongCloud was how he intended the game to be played like. Now, without further ado, let's just get into the actual theory behind the game. The two greatest BongCloud masters of our generation are Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen. They have created heaps of theory for newer chess players to learn. I'll be explaining all the theory behind both the BongCloud Naka variation and BongCloud Carlsen variation, conveniently named after their creators. Don't worry, there are also timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we get into all of that, we should look at the BongCloud draw first. This is the successor of the highly acclaimed Berlin draw, so let's get on with it. The BongCloud draw is fairly straightforward. You go e4, e5, king e2, king e7 and just repeat until you get a draw from threefold repetition. There's no variation, no nothing. The reason this draw is very effective is because after king e2 by white, black is forced to play king e7, or else they will be known as a coward for the rest of their life and never live it down. Also, important note, the BongCloud draw can only be played in the Naka variation. You'll see more about that in the next section of the video. The draw was first seen to be played between Magnus and Hikaru in the Magnus Carlsen Invitational, where they forged this draw out of thin air and kept on laughing for a full minute like psychopaths. Moving on to the BongCloud Naka variation. This is a more aggressive variation than the Carlsen variation which we will see soon, and creates much more of an imbalance in the game. It goes e4 or e3 followed by king e2. Now I personally prefer e3 because after e3 you just have a lot more flexibility. Maybe you can push d4 and c4 later and just grab more space in the center. Also, if you immediately push e4, your opponent might confuse themselves and think you're offering them a draw and play king e7 themselves or forcing a draw. So if you're sure you don't want to draw, don't push e4. Now some common ideas in this variation are that you want to immediately push your f pawn, grab the center with d4 and c4 like I said earlier. Moving your king to the f5 will also help you castle quickly. Trade your queens if you can and crush your opponent. Hikaru Nakamura, the creator of the opening, has sworn his life to this opening. He has once famously reached a rating of 3000 from only this opening on chess.com, which was unheard of back then. But as you see him play, you can really see how easy and natural it is to play the BongCloud. It's like the human mind was made for one thing and one thing only, to play the BongCloud. Moving on to the last and final variation, the Carlsen variation. This variation goes f3 or f4 followed by king f2. Now Carlsen initially proposed this opening to the media as an improvement to Hikaru's BongCloud, and initially a lot of people thought it was true. It seemed like a more refined BongCloud. You immediately get your king to the f-file and get ready to castle. But as time passed, both Hikaru and Carlsen has learned the advantages of both openings and learned to respect both BongClouds equally. Hikaru's BongCloud focuses more on capturing the center and playing aggressively, whereas Magnus's variation focuses more on castling the king to safety artificially and playing more conservatively. Now before you leave, there's one more BongCloud variation in the history of the BongCloud that is now basically extinct. It was created in the experimentation phase of the opening, and nowadays it is commonly agreed upon between grandmasters that this BongCloud is deeply flawed. There are two variations to this flawed BongCloud. One of them goes c3, f3, queen a4, king d1 and queen e1. You can switch them over but no one really cares. And the other one goes c3, f3, king f2, king e3, king d3, king c2, queen e1 and king d1. Those were the only flaws in the history of the BongCloud. Or maybe they were just too good, I have no idea. Maybe the grandmasters are trying to hide this opening to make sure no one else becomes grandmaster or something like that. So I don't know, that's all the information I have. Why don't you try out these openings in chess.com or Leechess or Chess24 if you're weird and tell me how it goes. If it went well, please like the video and maybe consider subscribing and checking out some of my other videos. That's it. See ya.